So this stumbled across my feed the other day that I wanted to share with you. It's the first time I'm reading the article, but I saw the headline. Furious Trump pressured White House staff to get Jimmy Kimmel shut down. Wow. Now remember, we're learning this at the exact same time, that the Twitter files came out, and we learned Republicans were angry that, hey man, what's going on here? Biden and his team made requests to Twitter to pull down content. That's censorship. That's deplatforming. That's anti-First Amendment. Can't do that. And then we learned the specifics of what they wanted to get pulled down, and it was literally like Hunter Biden revenge porn. It was like cock pics of Hunter. Now, in that instance, I kind of get it because it's a crime in a lot of states, as it should be. Revenge porn is really messed up. So I understand saying, hey, could you take that down? Now, there's plenty of instances of political figures asking for stuff to get pulled down that's egregiously overstepping, like Adam Schiff, for example. Things that cross the line, things that, were critical of him. He was like, let's just axe it. They were emailing Twitter and were like, could you take this stuff down? Now, to Twitter's credit, they'd often say no. But this posture from the right as like, hey, we're not the people censoring. It's the Democrats. It's the left. That's fundamentally not true. In fact, in Taibbi's own words, he said the Trump White House was asking for certain things to get pulled down. And now we learned this as well. So let's see the specifics here. They say, in 2018, bruised by being mocked by Jimmy Kimmel's nightly barbs, then President Donald Trump pressured White House aides to see what they could do to either shut him down or get the late-night comedian to dial back the jokes. According to a report from Rolling Stone, several former White House officials who served under Trump confirmed that the ex-president felt Kimmel was being dishonest when he made jokes about him. The report notes that aides then shared Trump's fury with executives at Disney, owner of ABC, which carries Jimmy Kimmel Live. According to Rolling Stone, Aswin Subsang and Adam Ronsley, quote, the then president, according to two former Trump administration officials, was so upset by Kimmel's comedic jabs that he directed his White House staff to call up one of Disney's top executives in Washington, D.C. to complain and demand action. Adding, in at least two separate phone calls that occurred around the time Trump was finishing his first year in office, the White House conveyed the severity of his fury with Kimmel to Disney. The report adds, Trump felt that Kimmel had, in the characterization of one former senior administration official, been very dishonest and doing things that Trump would have once sued over. That says a lot about you and nothing about him. The report adds executives at Disney were confused that the White House kept telling them Trump wanted Kimmel to tone down his anti-Trump humor. Explained one former Trump White House insider, quote, at least one call was made to Disney that I know of. I do not know to whom, but it happened. Nobody thought it was going to change anything, but Donald J. Trump was focused on it, so we had to do something. It was something, mostly to say to Trump, hey, we did this. Kimmel, it should be noted, is still on the air while Trump lost the re-election in 2020. Okay, so, man, look, honestly, this is par for the course. Anybody who's surprised by this, I am surprised that you are surprised. Because remember, Donald Trump sued Bill Maher over a joke. Bill Maher made a joke that said, I think Trump's dad was an orangutan because look at the color of his hair. It doesn't exist in nature. The only way you could get that is if his mom had sex with an orangutan. And he said, if you can prove to me that your dad is not an orangutan, I'll give you $1 million. Something to that effect. And then Trump literally sued to try to collect the money. Because he's like, look, see, this is my dad's birth certificate. He's not an orangutan. You owe me money. So he is suing to try to stifle free speech, trying to stop jokes at his expense. Trump sued CNN for hundreds of millions of dollars, and it was laughed out of the courtroom. This is a guy who hilariously says in speeches sometimes we're protecting free speech, but then with his actions, it's the exact opposite. He says we should open up the libel laws to sue the media more. He says we should punish flag burning with up to a year in jail, something that the Supreme Court already said was unconstitutional. And now you know the exact same, and that's the thing, man. This is the exact same kind of petty authoritarianism that the right accuses the left of and accuses Democrats of, and they melt down when you have an example of it. By the way, sometimes rightly. The fact that the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop article got pulled, egregious. You know, Twitter censored it. That was egregious. You couldn't even DM it to somebody. Massive overstep, super authoritarian. Regardless of what you think of the story or if it mattered or didn't for the election, you need to be allowed to run it. Duh. This is what having a free press is all about. Doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with the stuff that's coming out. But understand something, the problem is not a one-way street. Trump, his entire life has been a petty authoritarian. And with the reins of power, he was trying to pressure executives to get Jimmy Kimmel off TV. Now, let me tell you this. If he had the legal authority, if we didn't have a constitution that protected free speech, I think Trump would have tried to do something down the legal route to get Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air. But thankfully, he was constrained to one extent or another by a constitution that is super duper crystal clear on this, that he would have, less than no chance of ever getting accomplished. But this is what he does. Throws his weight around behind the scenes, tries to get rid of somebody literally just for making jokes, And he acts very dishonest. No, anything any fact that is embarrassing to Trump, he calls dishonest. We know the way this works. I mean, my favorite Trump lie of all time, you guys know this, is when he pretended to be his own publicist and called, some of those smutty tabloid magazines. And you could hear it's Trump. They have a recording of him on the phone telling these people, Madonna loves Trump. Oh, these women love Trump. They're throwing themselves at him. It's kind of amazing. You should write an article on this. You should write a story on this. And then when he was called out and they said, that is literally your voice on the phone. You were pretending to be your own publicist, John Barron. He was like, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. This is ridiculous. This is the kind of guy he is. So publicly facing, he said, oh, free speech, free speech, free speech. I'm against cancel culture. I'm against the snowflakes. Then behind the scenes, he does stuff like this. So anybody who actually believes in free speech, you cannot, in good faith, be a Trump supporter. You just can't. Because he is the antithesis of free speech. He is anathema to free speech. And by the way, just so everybody understands, I don't like any of the late night hosts. Like, I find that medium kind of grating and annoying. I find the jokes kind of poor. It's just it's a elite liberal culture that I think is very tone deaf and obnoxious. So I don't even like these guys. But obviously in a fight like this, you side with them because they're just doing their job and Trump's trying to get them fired by pressuring executives. Now, by the way, what could have happened or would have happened if Trump, for example, threatened an investigation into the business practices and the tax practices of ABC or Disney? What if they actually were like, oh, if you don't do this thing I want you to do, well, there's going to be consequences for it. Maybe they would have fired Jimmy Kimmel, right? If he was smarter with his strong-arm tactics, hey, what if I pull subsidies that you get or whatever? If he was smarter with his strong-arm tactics, maybe Jimmy Kimmel would have been fired. So in a sense, we're lucky that he's sort of scatterbrained and unintelligent, and he couldn't come up with a tactic to actually force them in line. So, quite a story here, man. That's for sure. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much. Thank you, as always, for listening to me babble on a daily basis. I don't know why you do it. But you do it. And that is very special to me. Thank you very much. So, everybody do me a big favor. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're climbing, trying to get to 1 million subs. We're getting closer and closer. Surprisingly, we're still growing. That's surprising, because for a long time, there was like zero growth on this channel. But it seems like we maybe jump-started it in one way or another. But anyway, subscribe. Help us get to 1 million subs. When we hit 1 million subs, we'll do, a celebratory stream and stuff. We'll have some fun. And I'm looking forward to that. So subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a new video drops. I'd really appreciate it. And remember, guys, you can always listen to the full shows. Every day that we do a show, listen to the full shows on Spotify. Head on over there. You can listen to it in podcast form. We're trying to build stuff outside of YouTube because YouTube, hasn't been all that fair to us in our estimation. So anyway, there you have it. Much love also, by the way, everybody who supports this show on Patreon. You guys make it work. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this show. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I never will. As long as you guys support the show and the small dollar donations, we can make it work. So link in the video description box. If you can, please donate $5 a month or whatever. It really helps us keep going. And same thing, support Crystal Kyle and Friends as well. Got some big stuff coming up on Crystal Kyle and Friends. Can't spoil it. I will say this, though. We're going to be a little bit late to the party this week with Crystal Kyle and Friends, but there's a good reason for it. It'll be released a couple days later than it normally is, but you'll see why. Important episode, special episode. All right, love you guys. I'll leave you on that cliffhanger. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.